So you're thinking about a tankless water heater. I'm going to give you all the pros and cons so you can make the right choice for your house. The number one pro of having a tankless hot water heater is you can run this thing until the end of time and you will never run out of hot water. This is a game changer if you got a big family. Everyone's getting ready in the morning, all your kids are taking showers, and you jump in the last minute and you don't have any hot water. You don't gotta worry about that with this. Leave a comment if you've ever run out of hot water. It's not a fun experience, right? So having a tankless unit is gonna solve all those problems. Another pro of tankless is you're not heating this giant tank of water 24/7. Say you leave for a week, who's gonna turn off their hot water tank, right? So you're wasting all this energy when you can just be using it when you need it. Another benefit of no tank is you don't have to worry about this giant water jug sitting in your house that can spring a leak at any time. It's basically a ticking time bomb. One of the things I love most about a tankless unit is just how clean it is. It just hangs on the wall, everything's out of the way, everything just goes below it or above it, and depending on your installation, you have either one or two pipes coming out, right? And then that frees up so much space on your floor and just gets everything out of the way, and you can just walk around easier. And depending on if you have a small basement, that's going to save you a lot of space being able to walk around. And I do want to show you, you can sort of see the outline. So this is where my old tank was. And you can see this was a walking bath, so it just freed up so much space. And it's just so nice to have everything just on the wall and out of the way. Now we're going to talk about some of the cons of a tankless water heater. So because you have endless hot water, that probably means you're going to be using it more. So that means longer showers, which means your water bill is going to be higher because you're just using more water. And actually I have noticed that in my water bill. So be prepared for that increased cost as well. So another con is the actual tankless units are just going to cost more up front. You're paying for all these high efficiency parts, and depending on whether you get a recirculating pump, that's also going to add some costs. And then you also want to think about all the additions. So you're going to want the flushing valves, so that's going to be another $100 or so. And then depending on what you need to pipe it for gas and your water lines coming down, because they're probably not going to be in the same position if you're hanging this on a wall. Another cost would be a neutralizer, which if you have a condensing tankless unit, you're going to want a neutralizer to neutralize that acidic condensate. So the upfront cost is more. You're looking at between $1,000 and upwards of $2,000 plus, depending on how fancy you're going to get with your unit. But there are incentives because your power company is probably going to offer a rebate between $50 and $100. You can also get a tax rebate on most of these units up to $600. So once you factor that in, it's really not that much more than a traditional tank unit. Another potential drawback is if the power goes out, obviously if you have a tank, you're going to have that full tank of water to draw from when the power's out. But with the tankless, you don't have that. But if the power does go out and you have a gas unit, it really draws very little electricity. It does need a plug, but it draws very little electricity. So if you have just a little battery backup, you can plug this baby in when the power's out and you can use it, and it draws very little electricity. So that you can do even if the power's out. If you had a fully electric unit, you could still use a battery backup, but you would need a more significant battery to power the unit, obviously. Another drawback is it does take a little while once you turn your faucet on for this thing to kick up and start making the actual hot water. So if that truly matters to you, you can get these units with recirculating pumps in them. So that is an extra cost, and on top of that cost, you're gonna have to run more plumbing for that dedicated recirculation line. But know that if you really care about that, you can fix that with a recirculation pump. I did do a little experiment, I'll show you here, of when my pipes were cold and I turned the hot water on to see how long it took with my thermal camera for it to get up to temperature. And if you really care about this, you can solve it, but if you don't care about this, this is a good way to kind of save energy. It just takes a little while to get the hot water. Another drawback is you're gonna have to do a lot more maintenance on a tankless unit. So you need to flush these things depending on how hard your water is. The harder your water, the more maintenance you're gonna have to do. So they recommend flushing these units about every year. And I did make a complete video on how to flush a tankless hot water heater. Check that out. Going along with the maintenance side of things, you're also going to want to treat your water before it gets to the tankless unit. So if you have really hard water, you're going to want to have a anti-scale filter or a water softener. And then it absolutely helps to have a spin down filter and just a whole house filter system. I made a whole video about how to install a whole house filter system, so check that out before you install an actual tankless unit. I mentioned earlier that it's really nice so you can hang these on the wall, but also consider you're gonna have to drill pipes running to the outside of your house. At least one. Maybe you might be able to do a fresh air intake inside your house. So with the possibility of having 2 new pipes coming out of your house, make sure if you have an HOA that they don't care about new penetrations coming out of your house. We've reached the last drawback of a tankless water heater, and that is the actual installation of the unit. Because, I mean, if you look at all these things, it is a little bit complicated, but you can do it on your own. I have a full video on how to do this step by step, and you can do it, trust me. If you have any questions at all, please leave them below or actually in the installation video, and I'm happy to answer them. But please believe that this is not that complicated of an installation. You can do it, and I'm here to walk you through every step of the way. So I hope this is helpful and maybe swaying you to get a tankless unit, or maybe not, but I hope you can see the benefits. I think they outweigh the cons, but I guess it's up to you.